Shootings like what happened over the weekend can leave us all on edge and worried about what could be going on in our neighborhoods. Earl Mack with the Buffalo Soldiers is here with us this afternoon. Earl, you always kind of come around when these things happen and help us try to understand what went wrong and what needs to be done. And I know we've talked to a couple of council members, and sometimes in these situations it's hard to pinpoint exactly what happened, what went wrong. What are your thoughts?
Well, what went wrong is that the respect. There's hardly much respect anymore, especially obviously by gunmen. Parenting, I think that has a lot to do with over the years. We've got less and less parenting. There's more and more kids that are kind of raising themselves, and so it's just a whole host of things that has gone wrong that brought us to this point.
And I want to point out the shooting between two people is nothing new. The fact that this is making national news is really because 12 people were shot. But I just did a story last year about a young man, Cole Lipkowski, who was shot on Lincolnshire because of an Airbnb party and people shooting at each other. So this is not just what happened over the weekend. It's been going on.
Correct. And I'm a strong believer in enforcement things where we have undercover officers. In the day, we used to have a lot of undercover officers that would work projects like this, and we were able to pluck those bad guys out of the neighborhood because they didn't know who we were. We don't have that anymore. And so every year it seems to get worse and worse, involving shootings, involving people being hurt, fights. Young kids are having fight parties now and all kinds of things. And again, my issue is, my question is, where is the parents? What happened to parenting? And the other thing with that, you need to let these police officers do their job.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because we just had a couple of instances, just two incidents in the last couple of weeks where police officers did approach teens and were heavily criticized by council members and others for the way that they handled those situations. But we've also seen the removal of the blue light cameras, the shot spotters, the violence interrupters, and we were just looking at a decrease in police officers due to funding. So, I mean, this all contributes to the problem, does it not?
It does, and I spoke with the chief involving the conduct of the officers. Right. I mean, when you have 600 employees, everybody every day is not going to be
behaving 100% as they should. Right.
And that's why we have departmental policies on behavior and discipline when those officers don't behave in the way that we think they should.
But it shouldn't stop police from going into the neighborhoods, right? We don't want to 100% this or 100% that. We still need the police to be able to have these conversations and go into neighborhoods and check on people and make sure that they're doing what they should be doing and not doing what they shouldn't be doing.
And we need the public to understand too, again, we have policies that govern our police officers, and when they violate that policy, we're coming after you. And so you need to give the system a chance to work. But my biggest problem, and I just talked in city council about this, is how did we get to this period today where kids now are carrying guns, where kids now are, there's no parenting. A lot of it has to do with, we need to bring good parenting back.
Right, and how do you do that? Well, I mean, that's a big problem to tackle.
Making them responsible and accountable for their children's conduct. Before, I used to go to court years ago, and if we arrested a child for something, the parent would stand there with them, and the judge would look at them, and they would also have consequences. And so we need to get back to that, or we need to take these children out of the homes.
And there's a lot on the line, Earl, because you also have, the fact that Toledo's name is being said the way it is around the country right now. The fact that people may no longer feel safe going out to something like this when they did before. So this is a problem that really touches many, many corners of our lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how we handle this with the city and the community, with our police department, and coming together collaboratively to put together a plan to address this. I don't need someone to come from some other city or something to tell me how to operate in my city in violence interruption. We have the expertise here. We just need to come together as a community. Pastors, educators, everybody come together as a community. But again, the focus needs to be on parenting.
It does, but you need all these prongs, all these areas to come together. I am curious to know, What was your reaction to some of those programs being eliminated, some for the sake of the budget?
Right, and especially the cameras. You know, I'm a Homeland Security guy. I was once the Deputy Director of Ohio Homeland Security, and cameras kept us safe. Cameras, we don't have the officers anymore that can be on every corner. You know, we have
Right.
to easily walk the beat. Cameras replaces that. So if you don't have eyes in that community, you have to depend upon somebody to come forward to tell you what happened and who did it. We need cameras. Those cameras are very important to our safety.
And people coming forward and telling what's happened is sometimes
Is
harder than
Absolutely.
you would think that it is.
Absolutely.
Earl Mack, Buffalo Soldiers, always doing wonderful, impactful work in our community. Appreciate you always being there for us to call
Well, thank
to
you.
kind of help us deconstruct these situations.
And don't let Dan retire, please.
Oh, he's out of here. You guys can talk about that during the break. Be sure to stay with WTOL 11 on air and online for updates to this developing story. You can find extended stories and interviews right now, even from some of the victims there of Saturday's shooting on WTOL.com. Be sure to follow those latest updates. And we'll have an update as well from the city tomorrow. They will finally speak and answer our questions about this. That'll be streaming live on the WTOL 11 Plus app.